Hi, Paul from PowerWashStore.com here. We're going to do a walk around of the Nick Darn PowerWashers.com skid. This is his skid that he had built from us. We have two 70-gallon tanks on the back here. First 70-gallon tank here set up for bleach storage for use with his proportioner, his soft washing system. We have a 70-gallon water tank with a Hudson float valve that will allow it to shut off and keep from overfilling and overflowing. Our bypass line from our pressure washer and our pickup points over there. Here we have two 7-gallon tanks that can be used for his detergent with his proportioner, so he can have his surfactant in there like Dragon Grip or Secret Agent, and maybe a soap or detergent like EBC that will allow him to run through his proportioner for his cleaning and applicating process. We have two 12-inch Titan reels with stainless steel plumbing. We have garden hose on the top, soft washing hose on the bottom that works with the booster pump. Over here we have our selector valve that allows him to choose between filling the tank or force feeding the booster pump for priming. We have another 12-inch Titan reel, again with stainless steel plumbing, up on the top of the platform here, and that is for his pressure washer. Underneath here we have our 11-gallon fuel tank for our pressure washer. We have underneath here, if you want to see, you can see we have a transfer pump integrated into the stand itself that will allow him to transfer chemicals from off the truck to on the truck right here, and that would be wired into his battery with his pressure washer. The pressure washer itself is an 8-gallon a minute water dragon poly-chain pressure washer with the Udor pump you can see right here. Coming around the side here, we have our remote control wizard that will allow him to turn on and off his booster pump. We have our proportioner set up with our selector valve to allow us to choose between water and bleach. And on the side here, we have another selector valve that allows him to choose between the two different detergent tanks. So coming around here, we can show you that the booster pump is set up. He'll be able to turn it on and off right here. You would plug it in. We're going to go through the process of how to prime the booster pump and how to set it up. Now this booster pump can be operated through the remote control with turning it on and off. It can also be turned on and off right here at the switch, or it can be turned on and off right here at the control wizard. Now there's not a battery in here currently, but we would turn the center button on. This first button would control an accessory currently that's not on here. If he had electric ball valves or he wanted to hook it up to a light or something like that, he could do that as well. If he wanted to turn it on from the control wizard itself, he would just hit the B button right here and it would turn the pump on. He could turn it on manually right here where it would be on all the time, or he can turn the control wizard on and use his remote control and the A button or the B button to turn it on and off. Now on the side of the remote control here, you can see the long range one. There's a little switch that allows you to turn it on and off. So if you're having problems and it's not working, you can see when I push the button, I don't know if you can see that, but the little light that lights up. And if I turn it off, you can see that the light does not light up. So if you are using the remote, you have to make sure that that's on. The priming process for the booster pump. You're gonna have to start over on the garden hose reel over here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the valve, the selector valve, so that it is force feeding the booster pump. So right now, when it's pointed up, it's feeding the float on the tank, which is where it would be in normal operation. To prime the booster pump, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this valve down, so it's pointing down, and that will force feed the booster pump. We're gonna pull our hose out so we can squeeze the trigger. We'll come back around to the booster pump, and we'll turn the booster pump on. On the top of the booster pump here, you're going to see there's also another selector valve. I got a little ahead of myself. There's another selector valve here that draws from either the direct feed from the water garden hose line or drawing from the proportioner. So we're going to take this valve here and we're going to turn it so that it is drawing from the garden hose reel. We can turn the booster pump on, squeeze the trigger, and what we're doing is we're getting some water into the pump. We're going to prime the pump. Because it's a centrifugal pump, it won't prime on its own. We have to get water into it to get it to bring more water in. We're going to start with the water line. I'll just open that up all the way. I will have my trigger squeezed. Right now we're drawing from the tank. I'm going to take this valve here and I'm going to turn it to draw from the proportioner. And what you'll see if you look at the lines in the back is it will bring the water into the proportioner. I'm going to do that for about 15 seconds. Then I'm going to come back down here and I'm going to turn this again, keeping the trigger pulled, force feed from the garden hose. Again, it'll run for about 10 to 15 seconds to get the air back out, and then do that one more time, or as many times needed until I see that all the water is coming in here and I'm not getting any more air sucked into the proportioner. Now I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn that off. And then I can do the next one, which is a detergent. I'll turn it up all the way. Again, I'll turn this back to be force fed to get the air out of the line. And then I'll do that same process, squeeze the trigger, allow it to suck. 10 seconds, turn it back to draw from the proportioner, and then back to the thing. And then I will do that for each of the lines. I'll do that for the detergent, and then I'll do the same thing with the SH line. Run it for 10 seconds from the garden hose feed. Run it for 10 seconds from the proportioner, or 15 seconds to try to get the air out of the line. I'll do that with the water, and then I'll repeat that process again with the SH. And it might take multiple times of doing that back and forth to get it. Once I have each line primed, as long as I do not run it out of water or chemical or detergent, you shouldn't have to continually reprime the unit. It should maintain prime. At the end of the day, you would just shut off all your valves after you flushed it out, and you'd be all set. As far as operating the proportioner, what we're going to do is we want to determine our mixture. Here's some recommended ratios on the sticker here that would tell you where you want to be. If I was doing a really heavy, let's say concrete flat work that had a lot of mold and mildew, and I wanted to be at a 3.5% mix, I'd start out, I'd turn my water up all the way. I'd have my detergent between maybe a 2 and a 4, as high as a 5, depending on how thin your surfactant is. With the Dragon Grip or the Secret Agent, Agent Green, any of those, you'll typically be around maybe a 2 to a 3. I'm going to turn my SH valve up to my 4 if I want to run a 4% mix, because that's what I think I want to use. I'm going to make sure my valve on the top here is on SH. I'm going to be drawing from whatever detergent tank I want to draw from. So in this case, I want to draw from tank 1, which is the one on the left. I'm going to make sure that my pump is already primed. I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing from the proportioner. And I'm going to come back to the main reel here, and I'm going to make sure that my tank is filling with water, because I don't want to run out of water while I'm doing this. So I'm going to turn this valve back to the top so that it's feeding the tank and continually feeding water as I'm spraying. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to spray what I want to spray with my applicator. If I need to change that mix and make it weaker, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop. I'm going to come back to the unit. I'm going to change my mix down to my 2% or 1.5% maybe, because I'm going to be doing a house now. I'm going to turn my detergent up to where it says marker. I'm going to squeeze the trigger and I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to let off the trigger. I'm going to turn my detergent back where it belongs, and then I can continue to spray. And it takes about 45 seconds for what's in the line to get back up there. And what's going to happen is you're going to see a big glob of soap, a whole bunch of suds that'll come out. That's your marker. You know, everything after that point is your new mix and ready to go. So that's how you use the proportioner. At the end of the day, I want to flush this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my detergent off. I'm going to turn my SH up all the way, and up on the top here, I'm going to change this selector valve from SH to water. And then I can run some water through the proportioner and through the booster pump to make sure I flush everything out. If I ever want to use the proportioner or the booster pump to rinse for powered rinsing, I can, doesn't really matter where these valves are, but I might just shut all these valves off here. I'll come to the top of the booster pump. I will turn it to being fed from the garden hose, come back over to my garden hose here, turn this so that it's force feeding the booster pump. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to take my inlet pressure and I'm going to boost it by about 100 psi, and I will be able to powered rinse, get a little bit extra pressure. You should be able to achieve anywhere from about 180 to about 225 psi when you're force feeding from a garden hose. So very good for rinsing. So this is the powerwashers.com skid. Paul from powerwashstore.com, 855-351-9274.